Ko and Velina Mai, mahalo to you all for being here with us today on this Friday before the holiday. We have our editors here, Naomi Shihab Nye and Cathy Song. We have amazing writers gathered who are going to share their work with you. But for people who don't know what Bamboo Ridge Press is, we are a nonprofit 501 C3 organization dedicated to fostering the creation and appreciation of literature and art by, for, and about the people of Hawaii and the Pacific. Founded in 1978 to amplify the diverse voices of our communities and support emerging and established writers. Bamboo Ridge stands as the longest independent literary small press in Hawaii, and it publishes one of the oldest continuously running operating journals in the United States. So we publish 2 books a year with writers and readers from around the world, including you folks. Just some quick acknowledgements here. We do acknowledge that we are organizing from occupied Native Hawaiian land and hope that our work reflects the respect, gratitude, and commitment to uplifting their voices, histories, and futures as the original stewards of this aina. We also acknowledge the many atrocities casting shadows across our world at the moment, and in the face of this darkness, we hope our collective voice can serve as not necessarily a solution, but small, steady beacon of endurance and hope. And you're going to hear more of that today. I think that message is loud and clear in the editor's introduction for this issue. I'll let Naomi talk about that. On a note though, on that note, a gentle content warning. Some of the pieces today do touch on themes and topics that may be difficult, but also we have pieces that are funny, Thomas, looking at you, and joyous and beautiful in their celebration of people and place here in Hawaii and Pacific. Nate, looking at you. Just some housekeeping. Feel free to use the chat. If you want to send a message to everyone who's joining us today, make sure you select everyone in that little blue drop down. You can control what you see on screen by there's a little view icon on the larger portion of the screen on the right. You can tap that. Otherwise, put any questions or things you want to share in the chat. Feel free to use it. Have fun with that. Share which words really resonate with you. I'll be doing that too, because so many of these pieces and the writing just is very touching. So I'll do that too. So you feel free to as well. At the end, there will be time for audience Q&A and talk story. If you want to come on camera or microphone to ask a question or have, tell the authors how amazing they are, we can get you up on here too. Or you can just share it in the chat and I'll read it out loud to them, but it's going to be great. I can't tell you how much it means to share this time with you guys here. Again, we do have people from all over the world with us tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Naomi, who's going to be our hostess with the mostest today. Naomi Shihab Nye describes herself as a wandering poet. By the way, her bio is very long, so I'm giving you the abbreviated version. I hope you're okay with that. I'm so sorry. She has spent more than 40 years traveling the country and the world, leading workshops and inspiring students of all ages. She was born to a Palestinian father and an American mother and grew up in St. Louis, Jerusalem, and San Antonio. I'll just end it there. I think that's great. But take it away, Naomi, and I'm going to go ahead and put up this great graphic I have, if that's okay.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, Misty. Aloha to everyone. Mahalo for being here. It is such an honor to be connected to all of you, to Bamboo Ridge, to my beloved longtime friend, Cathy Song, who kindly invited me to co-edit this issue with her. I was a fan of Cathy's writing before we ever met. And when my family and I first came to Hawaii in 1991, where I was teaching one semester, sorry, at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. We were comrades in a writing group which met in Cathy's living room, and we have come back to Hawaii so many times since then and love the islands, care so much about everything you all do. And that was when I first had a chance to meet the the founders of Bamboo Ridge, Eric Chalk and Daryl Lum. And it was very special to fall into the spell of reading this journal way back in the early 90s. But the truth is, I had already been reading it through libraries in the 80s. So it was an introduction I had to Hawaii. And I thank Cathy for letting me be a sidekick. I'm speaking from San Antonio, Texas, where we live. For those of you who've never been here, this is very much a half and half state. Don't ever believe that our governor represents us. He does not. We are trying hard every day to make things better here. But thank you, Cathy, for letting me be your sidekick. That, in fact, the title of my next book coming out next year, Sidekick, because I feel it's what I've been sort of all my life. I wanted to read a quote from the beautiful introduction, which Cathy wrote and allowed me to tack my name onto for this issue, the beautiful issue number 128 we'll be sharing from tonight. Cathy wrote, "There will always exist the tyrannical impulse to oppress, whether on a personal level or a societal one, trying to silence the one and the many voices of the beautiful human spirit is, as time has shown, impossible. Keep writing the poems and stories. Keep reading the well-informed and researched news articles and essays. Keep supporting your local newspaper and literary small press." We should all feel very proud for the longevity of Bamboo Ridge and all of the voices it has shown a light on. So tonight, thank you to the writers who are reading here. It was such an honor to select voices for this issue with Cathy. And we are going to start tonight with our friend in New Zealand, Nathaniel Calhoun. It's so beautiful to have you here with us. And you go by Nate, is that right, Nate?
Either one, yeah.
Either one, Nathaniel. And thank you. It says in your bio that you work to protect and restore biodiversity from your home in New Zealand, and you connect that to your writing so beautifully. And your poems have been featured in many places, and you have not yet published a chapbook or a collection. So if any editors, small press publishers, large press publishers are on board with us tonight, listen to Nathaniel Calhoun. Please share your wonderful work with us.
Kia ora. Thank you so much, Naomi, and Cathy, for your great work with this issue, and to Bamboo Ridge family in general. I'd been tracking and enjoying the magazine for a while, and seeing that you two would be editing it, I was extra enthusiastic to contribute. And being in Aotearoa, New Zealand, in the tiny part of it that is subtropical, we share an ecology a little bit with Hawaii. So I felt it's one of the rare places internationally that I could send this work where people might kind of feel a little bit of their home with it. So that said, there are two words you probably won't know, and they are words in Te Reo Maori, which are the names of different types of trees that were common in the ecology up there. So if you hear a word that's unfamiliar, it's just a tree. Yeah, if any tree is just a tree. So first of all, this poem, I'll read you Orchid first. In the last cool damp before crickets, frogs silent, eaten, or resting, from a rough-shorn manuka stem, bolting out of ankle pond past ponga, through swamp cypress, an orchid bursts waist-high, clustered in a cleft, speckled with sunset jaws. It flourishes from that toehold of riven trunk, while insect pellets bundle the tree's marrow beneath it, damply crumpling. Something chosen and favored struggles hard not to feel heartbroken about being planted on the wrong square meter. And this one is passion fruit. For years, our passion fruit don't arrive at pleasurable edibility. They via ferrata, impromptu through acacia, then hunker into bitter pith, rising neither to sour nor juicy, never even rattling. Their white watermelon pips don't firm to crackle, won't make it to mahogany, and weep not. Our new pathway, fesses vines to sunrise, and now our basket fills with frisky, rosy-minded purple eggs. Sassy palate smacks that knockout flurry lurks within.
Wow. I just have to say, such exquisite attention to plant detail. Your words are so tangible, so tasty. I kept feeling like these were poems that we roll around on our tongues to feel them. And I'm curious because I read about your work with biodiversity and growing things, being in tune with growing things. If you could just say something about how that attention connects to your writing process. And also, I saw in the chat, people are writing love poems to your bookshelves. Everyone has their bookshelves. They look so delectable, also. And
Oh,
well
happy to share
organized.
that.
Yeah.
Happy to share
Thank you.
that.
Thank you for the vision. But if you could just
Mm,
say something about that connection of growing things and your writing.
yeah, I hadn't had a strong connection to the natural world for the first 40 years almost of my life. And then I moved to the far north of New Zealand with my partner to kind of have our version of that um, permaculture dream. And we got way in over our heads with managing 24 invasive species, fallen trees all the time, storms. Um, it completely rewired me, and it changed what I wanted to focus on professionally. So I kind of veered into biodiversity work after simmering in that environment for a year and a half. And just finding that I was so nourished by it, and that it was the first time in my adult life that I was living somewhere for a long period of time and felt like I could put down roots to some extent in this country that I'm an immigrant to. Um, so yeah, it was really just being impacted by that environment. And it was a very spare, very lightly populated part of the country where months would go by almost without seeing people. I mean, it was terrifically isolating. And so I took a lot of solace with feeling very much like I was interacting with um, a whole bunch of plants that I'd never heard of before, not really seen before, didn't know much about at the start. You know, I thought a bunch of things were lovely trees when I first arrived that turned out to be terrible invasives that I had to spend years killing, and it was just this whole learning experience, and it did impact me professionally. And I felt fortunate to land on some teams with real scientists doing real biodiversity work and contributing some of my generalist skill set to their um, strains of work.
Wow. Thank you so much for that beautiful description. And it was such a such an oasis feeling reading language such as yours describing um, these beautiful plants. It's an honor to have you in this issue.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for
much.
all you're doing for the planet.
Mm.
And next we have Thomas Iannuccci. Am I saying your name right?
iannuccci, but close enough for government
Iannucci.
work.
Iannucci. Such beautiful names, all. And I have to say, your bio note is possibly my favorite thing of all time. I have here you said, "No worry about Thomas Iannucci. He doing just fine." So you could just dive right in, Thomas. We're so happy to have you here tonight.
Well, thank you very much. I wrote that bio just kind of being a smartass, and I never think they would actually publish that. And they did, and they've used it subsequently for my other Bamboo Ridge releases. So I'm gonna keep that forever.
Yeah, keep that
um,
forever. It's the best bio yet.
Thank you very much. So first of all, I want to say to Naomi and Cathy, thank you so much for selecting my piece. It's such an honor. You're both so amazing, and for all of us, I think I can safely say we're just honored to be a part. Big thank you to Misty as well, and all of Bamboo Ridge for facilitating this and making this happen. Um, and yeah, so I'm reading from the island of Kauai, the unconquered island, as we like to say, and very proud to represent my home. I'm hopeful Michelle's going to be able to get on here a little bit later and also help represent Kauai. She's amazing, very talented. And can I also just say, I was so nice for the first time when Misty was doing the beginning with the that I this is the first time that I my work is not part of the trigger warning. So it's nice. I get to write something a little happier and not so heavy, And this is a very pleasant turn of events, because we gotta have we gotta have the bitter and the sweet. You know what I mean? We have to tell the difficult stories, but we can enjoy the beauty of our home as well. And so this was kind of celebrating that. I think this is a story that, while very specific to Hawaii, is also very universal. um, it's about a young man who comes home from college for the first time, uh, and visits his family, and they all have kind of the same response. And so the story's title is called "Oh, you came fat, huh?" Oh, and also, by the way, I see Eric Schaefer's on here. I'll be reading from Eric's copy of this book since we switched ours on accident last time. But you see, I'm taking good care of it, Eric. So please take good care of mine. So with that said, this is my short story, Ho You Came Fat Ta. As you reach, excuse me, as you reach the rickety screen door of your uncle's house, a familiar scene brings a smile to your lips. The cacophony of slippers strewn about the floor, mixed in mats, some brand new and some broken, some held together by tape and paper clips. Your slippers are the same as another pair you see, but yours are new. So you make it a point to try and hide them in the corner so that no one accidentally takes yours instead. You pause for a moment, centering yourself, the calm before the storm. This will be your first appearance at a family party since you moved away to college 2 years ago, and you're dreading it. You're naturally quite shy, and you know how these things get. Let's do this, you say, taking a deep breath. You brace yourself and open the door. The screen door opens with a creak and a shake, sounding as it always has, like it might collapse as it slams shut with far more intensity than you expected, due to its surprisingly strong springs. The entrance leads right into the kitchen, where you find your mother with the other aunties, glass of wine in hand, talking story. "Oh, finally," says your mom. "He's the college boy." A chorus of cheerful greetings. Lots of "hey, hi, and welcome homes" envelop you as you make the rounds, hugging and kissing Auntie Nani, your mother's sister, Auntie Raquel, your mother's sister's sister-in-law, Auntie Rosa, your mother's sister's sister-in-law's neighbor, Miss Gonzalez, your grandma's best friend, and Margie, your mother's other, much younger sister, and technically your auntie, but she's only 9 years older than you, so you just call her Margie. Privately, you feel impressed, daunted, and even a little flattered. The whole family seems to have come out in force just to see you. Just your luck. "You thirsty?" asks Margie, handing you a beer, which you accept gratefully. You take a sip, but try to pace yourself. You've never been much of a drinker, and your family's parties can get a little out of hand. Better to go slow. Before you can thank Margie, the aunties are swarming upon you, piranhas in search of fresh gossip. Amongst them, you see gray hair peeking out just over their shoulders. Your maternal grandmother, who seems to have gotten even smaller since the last time you saw her. She shuffles over to you, and you lean down to kiss her on the cheek. Your grandmother looks up at you and blinks. "Oh, you came fat that boy," she says in the matter-of-fact way only Asian matriarchs can. You wilt inside, but this time the response from your family is loud disagreement. He's a college boy, Ma, says your mother. He gotta get big and strong, especially because us Filipinos is so small compared to the Hollies up there. Margie agrees. Go eat, Aiki, go eat, she tells you. You can get good lumpia laris on the mainland. You don't mention that you've joined the Hawaii club in college and thus spent a lot of time with other locals. So technically, you do in fact get to eat lumpia fairly regularly. The truth is, you've missed and so fair your skin, your grandma says, still looking you over. Look nice. Mo better you stay indoors or you stay home, boy. Or buy you come back like your uncles. Ma, exclaims Auntie Nani as the other women laugh. Nothing wrong with dark skin. That's your colonial influence. Margie'd explain them all to me. Your grandma rolls her eyes and says something in Ilocano, but you don't catch it. You're too busy being interrogated by the rest of the aunties who've waited long enough and now are hunting for the latest gossip. So what, Isaac? You get girlfriend up there? Asks Auntie Raquel. You did it one howle. You feel your heart sink. Not this conversation again. Cliche though it may be for a college student to dread questions about their love life, you do in fact dread it. Better not, says Auntie Nani. You need one nice Filipina girl. The rest of your cousins are like Filipinos, but you one good boy, Ike. I always said that. Mo better he end up with one haole, says your grandma. Pity the babies when they hop on. Lots of nodding from the aunties, except for Margie, who rolls her eyes, and Auntie Rosa, who just laughs. Nah, but for a kind, you get girlfriend, eh? Asks Auntie Raquel, never one to drop a juicy subject. No, tell me no more girlfriend, Ike. It's been how long already? 2 years. No, tell me the kind, eh? You're not the kind, snaps your mother. He's just shy. And even if he was, we would still love you anyway. You know that, right, honey bun? She pats your shoulder and smiles that comforting smile you know so well, but it has little effect. You try your best to tune it all out, but Auntie Raquel's eyes continue to drill a hole in you until you cave. I'm not gay, if that's what you're asking, you say, try not to roll your eyes. Don't even see why it should matter. It's not a bad thing. You take a big gulp of your beer. It doesn't, hun, says your mom. Keone is super flaming homo kind gay, and we all love him. Another chorus of agreements. Actually, I don't think Keone is gay, you say, already regretting it as the words leave your mouth. Of course he is, says Miss Gonzalez. He paints his nails and he had long hair and he only hang out with girls. As obvious that one. Though you know for a fact that no less than 3 of Mrs. Gonzalez's granddaughters can vouch otherwise. You drop the subject, hoping it was enough of a distraction to get their attention off you. Auntie Raquel, however, is like a hunting dog that smells blood, and she moves in for the kill. So what? You really not dating nobody? She asks, hands on her hip. No, you finally admit, unable to dance around the subject any longer. No, I don't have a girlfriend up there. Well, tell me it's because you're still in love with Carissa, she gasps. She never coming back, boy. You better get over her. You know she's still at the time. You cough at the mention of your high school ex, but recover fast enough to croak out, no, I'm over her. Trust me. Oh, she seems disappointed for a moment, then shrugs it off. It's probably because you got so fat, she says, then adds, no offense. Thank you.
No. I
You're
was shrieking with laughter when I read this one. Just when I pulled this one off the pile, I was just shrieking with laughter.
Ah,
And
thank you so much.
no, it's so real. It's so politically incorrect, but it is so real. I love it.
And another thing, Thomas, it's so universal. I
Yes.
was picturing a
Right.
Palestinian family dinner,
Right.
either overseas or on the pier over here on the mainland. It was like this always happened, but I never heard anyone say it as well as you do here. It was
Thank you
fantastic,
so much.
universal, and I was also laughing so much.
Thank you. Based on a true story, you might say.
Yeah. Well, your gift with voices is just
Mhm.
so delightful and
Thank you.
so rollicking. Your energy, it's like the whole
Mhm.
piece had this generator, this velocity of voice,
Yeah.
moving it
Thank you
forward.
so much.
So thank you, Thomas. I can't wait to read more of your work, and good wishes on everything in future
Thank you, guys. Much love to you both and to all of you. Mahalo nui.
Thank you. And next we have Dawn Morais. Is that correct pronunciation? Oh, Dawn, I think you're muted. Unmute, please. There you
Yes.
go. Yes. Is your last name Morais?
Morais. You pronounce the S. Yeah,
Pronounce the S.
it's Portuguese,
Oh.
not French. So
Yes, beautiful. Well, what an interesting life you have lived. Born in Kerala, raised in Malaysia. You've called Hawaii home since 2001. Lucky you. And
yeah.
your work has been published all over the place. And
Well,
work with nonprofits on social and economic justice issues. Thank you so much. That's why you know so much about my governor. And above said, writing this poem was a way of bearing witness. It memorializes a few of the many voices silenced in a genocide that we helped finance and failed to stop and continue to fail to stop. So thank you, Dawn, with all my heart for speaking this truth, for speaking for so many of us.
well, thank you, Naomi. You know that I fell in love with you and Cathy when I heard both of you at the Doris Duke Museum, as I told Cathy before. It was such a memorable evening hearing both of you read your work and talk to each other back and forth. So it's a real honor to have been selected to be included in this publication. Thank you for that. I'm sorry that my subject is such a downer after Thomas's wonderful rollicking account of being grilled by his aunties, but I really feel driven as a mother and a grandmother more than anything else. As a mother and a grandmother, I think of my children and my grandchildren under that rubble, and my insides just revolt. And so every chance I get, I write about Gaza, because I think so much nonsense is going on in this country that we've taken our eye off the ball and we continue to accelerate the genocide.
Yes.
I also want to recognize that somebody I mentioned who's very brave and who is doing something about the genocide and who tried to take help to Gaza, Jason Missoula of Veterans for Peace Hawaii, is online from Uruguay. Jason and his wife Baha are listening to this. So thank you, Jason, for being here and for letting me invoke you. You know, we are dealing with the illusion of a ceasefire during which nearly 400 Palestinians have been killed. While we call it a ceasefire, and while Trump gets his picture on the front page of Time, this is no ceasefire. The genocide is ongoing. And so I just think, and yet through all of that tragedy and the darkness, there was the joy of 54 couples tying the knot 2 days ago in the rubble. It just made my heart a little lighter, you know, to see it. But it was also a testament to the resilience and the tenacity of the Palestinian people. This god-awful genocide has to come to an end. So with that, this is called Fugue for a Genocide. And it's written for and in honor of Mosa Babu Toha and all the poets of Gaza, those who survived and those who have been killed since October 7, 2023. Most of all, this poem is for the children maimed, orphaned, and killed. Beneath the rubble. I checked the rubble of Twitter looking for signs that you survived. It's been several days since I unearthed a post from you, fear sticking out like the limbs of so many buried beneath mountains of concrete. You wade desperately, trying to flag down anyone who can help. You report bombs exploding all around you. It's a relief to read your words. I'm still alive. Doctors. I saw a picture of young doctors swearing they would remain as long as there was pain. Supplies are running low, but in their scrubs they smile. They sing in defiance of death visited upon the innocent. WCNSF, wounded child, no surviving family. Doctor's code for the unspeakable. The doctors at Al-Shifa Hospital left a message. Scrawled on a white board, these words: whoever stays until the end will tell the story. We did what we could. Remember us. Kidney specialist Dr. Hammam Alo refused to evacuate. You think I went to medical school and for postgraduate degrees for 14 years, so I think only about my life and not my patients? He asked. Days later, age 36, he was killed. The airstrike took 26 family members. 26. Patients in intensive care, surgery without anesthesia, babies in incubators without electricity, without oxygen. Bombs rain down on a hospital that cannot save them. The world screams in horror while babies slowly die. Our leaders prevaricate, jet-setting, quibbling diplomacy saves no one. Driven from their homes, Gazans eat grass, animal feed. They die, scrambling for the trickle of food aid. Airdrops rain insult on injury. A few descend like meteors, landing like ghastly joke missiles on the heads of those on the brink of famine. And still, we watch. Listen to their words. The occupiers call Palestinians human animals. They promise to treat them as such. Does anyone bomb, orphan, and traumatize animals the way the children of Gaza have been traumatized, disemboweled, dismembered, buried in rubble? The walking wounded, the entirety of their young lives abbreviated to an acronym that cannot hold their bottomless pain. WCNSF, wounded child, no surviving family. The poet's agony. As the bombs kept falling, the poet, Mosa Babu Toha, implored us to share his poem about what a home contains. He lists the things he remembers, but his child asks, can a four-letter word hold all of these? Mossab says in one post he does not want to die. In another, we learn his home has been destroyed. But I'm not homeless, he insists, even as bombs land just yards from where his family cowers. Alive. Thanks for your prayers. We don't have any access to food or clean water. Winter's coming. We don't have enough clothes. Kids are suffering. We are suffering. The army is now at Al-Shifa Hospital. More death, more destruction. Who can stop this? Please stop it now. Still, we watch and send more weapons to those who rain them on the innocent. Genocide watches. It's been months and still the world watches impotent, helpless it seems, and feckless. We repeat history yet again. Tragedy writes itself in the blood, broken bones, and pulverized homes of over 30,000, now 70,000. Half of them women and children. Blood that waters the land as it flows from the river to the sea. The poet says roses will spring from that earth, but only Palestinians will smell their fragrance. But how will we deodorize the stench of genocide that clings to all who cannot, will not, do not raise our voices to high heaven? Daily practice. Every day in every way we can bear witness. We can refuse to look away. We can search our hearts, ask if we have done enough to press our feeble leaders to stop this murderous rage, this campaign of extermination, announced and executed in full view of the world. What if those wounded children, no surviving family were ours? What stone would we leave unturned? Hope. A brave civilian flotilla bearing food for the famished is now on its way to Gaza to break through the Israeli blockade. Among them, Jason Missoula, Veterans for Peace, Hawaii, and retired Colonel Ann Wright, turning dissent and advocacy for peace into active witness for Gaza. Few can match this kind of courage, but surely we can give voice to our outrage. Bearing witness. Let the people of Gaza know we see them, we hear them. We can refuse to look away. We can refuse. We can. The invasion of Rafah has begun. More fodder for the 37 million tons of debris, courtesy of Israel, that must be cleared in Gaza. 14 years, the time it will take to clear the debris of homes and hospitals, universities and schools reduced to rubble. Businesses and bodies, families, flora and fauna, women and children crushed by the weight of hate and revenge, created what we now call debris. Just debris. Let the people of Gaza know we see them, we hear them, even as we fail to save them. We must refuse to look away. We must refuse. We must.
Oh, Dawn, thank you for not looking away. Thank you for speaking this very difficult poem. I felt that fugue was such a perfect word choice for this sequence, because what it indicates, the fugue in music, but also the fugue of violence, violence successively taken up by others, interweaving parts. And in psychiatry, that fugue state where
Yes.
where the loss of awareness of one's identity, as you so clearly describe in this poem, how Palestinians have been dehumanized. And this is something that I have seen going on my entire life. And some people imagine it only happened since October 7th. It has always been happening.
Right.
I am very grateful to you for sharing this grief, this sorrow, for invoking the necessity of speaking. Uh, I hope that many people in Gaza get to read this poem of yours, and I just want to thank you also for speaking about the very brave individuals, people from Mossab to your friends on the flotilla. Uh, some people have said this is the first time we have seen a genocide unfold before our eyes. And when you talk about the debris, it's everything, every little bit of it, the children, the sorrow, the seeming endlessness. Very hard poem to write, and you have done it in a way that um, really bears witness and brings pain, but speaks in a truthful way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for reading, for listening to it so carefully. I'm so glad you got all of the different dimensions of fugue, because it came to me because I used to play Bach's fugues as a child.
I did too. Yes.
Yeah, so something about that elegiac and the
Yes.
and the psychiatric state, it was all wrapped up. It just
Right.
but
And the way the
thank
music surprises you, but it keeps going on. And unfortunately, that's what happens with violence too. And
right.
why people never talk about more imaginative things that could be done to change a story. So
Right.
all the people involved could talk a better story together. But that is something thrown down by the wayside. And your poem reminds us. Thank you, Dawn. This is
Thank you for including it.
so important. And
Good, Michelle has arrived, so we will hear from her too.
thank you for your voices thus far. And next we have Hannah Trees. What a beautiful name you have, Hannah. I loved it from the beginning as well. You live on Maui, working as a researcher and writer for a local nonprofit. You're originally from upstate New York and attended Carleton College before completing a PhD in philosophy here in Texas at the University of Texas at Austin. So this state has a little goodness too, right? Yeah, and your poetry has appeared in online and print journals. Hannah, we welcome you. Would you share your beautiful poems with us?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Thanks to other authors who have shared so far. I feel like I have a very difficult job following everyone who's read already. And yeah, I just wanted to say, Nathan, or Nate, it was interesting to see that you wrote a poem about passion fruit, because my poem also mentions passion, the Hawaiian term for it, lilikoi. Um, so yeah, I'll read my poem, Makoao, first. I wake with the urge to cut my hair off at the shoulder. Later, I will take the trail worn smooth by 1,000 shoes through trees planted orderly in rows. On the downhills, almost floating, so fast I will not see the ferns grown in waves, or the lilikoi vines with their unripe fruit, or the white-eyed majiro diving through the green light. It is a Sunday filled with no greater relief than watching through an open window the sparrows land on the supple grass, impossibly light, with their tiny claws curled as in death, and their hollow bones. The washing machine continues its cycle. The orchids soak in their weekly water. It is a Sunday so soft I cannot speak, but bear the hours out in light filtered through eucalyptus leaves. like scythes. And my second poem is Napping in Summer. When I first moved to Maui, I lived in Pukalani, and if anyone knows Pukalani, it gets very, very hot in the summer. We get very little rain, and I lived in a garage studio that had no roof insulation. And so if you lifted your hand, you could feel the temperature rise like 10 degrees in my little studio. And so this is about sleeping, trying to nap in the summer in Pukalani when it's, 95 degrees inside without air conditioning. 3:01 p.m. Gold light dribbles across the bed sheets. I lose myself among the dark trunks of every word you've spoken with closed eyes. 3:29 p.m. Gasping, a grounded fish. I would like to drink from every tiny lake of the household. The cat's water dish, your damp footprints across the bathroom tiles, the splattered drops from the faucet. 3:56 p.m. Roving pupils, crusty lashed. I am a frog's tongue coated in sand. I would like to bathe in the blue eyes of my childhood dog, to wake to the sound of a window opening.
Thank you so much, Hannah. That second stanza of napping in summer, I would like to drink from every tiny lake of the household. That's just such a captivating image there. I was so touched by both of these poems and by the cognizance of line, lineage in the poem, the length of hair, the furrowed rose, the waves of fern, the way you threaded together these luminous awarenesses. It was just such a beautiful texture of a poem, and the silence and the sweetness, the softness at the end about a day being so soft I cannot speak, but bear the hours out. I felt this poem cast a certain spell of meditation, and the other one too. They're both very deeply compelling meditative poems. And napping in summer, back to that one. I hope your time in Texas prepared you for this heat of that place.
Yeah.
It just felt so rooted, so grounded, and kind of mind-blowingly delicious. This nap in which your sleepy partially sleeping mind is drifting off to these other images, a childhood dog, uh, it, or the cat's dish, uh, the dark trunks of every word you've spoken. I mean, there's magic in these poems, Hannah, and it's such a pleasure and treat to read you. So, would you mind saying anything about like philosophy and poetry for you?
Oh, yeah, I've thought a lot about that actually, because I was in the college studying philosophy for 4 years and then another 7 years in grad school. So I spent a lot of time writing philosophy papers and reading a lot of philosophy, both contemporary and historical. Um, and one thing that you learn as a philosophy student, at least in contemporary, like Anglophone philosophy, is to be exceptionally precise with the words you use. There's no real fluff in contemporary American philosophical writing anymore, at least among standard like academic department style philosophy. Um, and I really think that that carried over into my poetry, especially towards the end of grad school. I remember the poems that I wrote in college, and they were much more free-flowing and less structured. And I was like, I think less deliberate about using punctuation and less deliberate with enjambment and things like that. And yeah, being forced to write very, very precisely and academically definitely impacted my poetry as well. Um, and And then actually when I wrote these poems, that was at that time I would have been an English teacher in high school or at a local high school on Maui. And I was, teaching poetry as a part of being an English teacher. And that also really made me much more aware of my own poetry, given that I was giving feedback to students all the time. You become your own you become much more critical of your own work when you're constantly giving feedback to students. So that also really influenced these poems. I think I became much more disciplined in how I wrote poetry. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for the kind words about my poems. It was very wonderful to hear you describe them.
So much for being here with us tonight and for these poems. Appreciate them.
Thank you.
And next we have Susan J. Wurtzburg. Hello, Susan. You have received first place in the Land of Enchantment Award and Save Our Earth Award and Elizabeth M. Campbell Poetry Award and been in all kinds of other competitions. Bravo to you for sharing your work and sending it out far and wide. And you are a commissioned artist in sidewalk poetry. I just love that. That is a fantastic thing to be. And you live in Utah right now, correct? Yes.
That is correct.
And you've done so many other wonderful things in poetry. We welcome you tonight from Bamboo Ridge, and thank you for sharing your poems with us.
Oh, I am so delighted to be here. I'm thrilled to be involved in this volume. And I'd like to thank everyone who on the panelists, and also members of the audience who are coming in from various parts of the world. So thank you. I'm going to read 2 poems this evening. I can't promise that they will be upbeat. They do concern the environment. Crows of Hawaii. Baby blue eyes turn somber as Hawaiian crows mellow with age. Brandy-cast bodies clothed in glossy gray black. Beauty in flight. Caw, caw, crow chorus echoed among koa and lama groves. Cackling commentaries on who, what, where, before voyaging canoes reached the islands, before time was measured here. Kanaka Maoli named the crows Alala after their crackle calls. Sounds like warriors shouting chiefly orders, more plentiful than people. Crows crowded the understory, terrorizing alapaio nests, beaks buried in insects, flowers, anything dead, feasting on fruit. They spread seeds, left olapa, ie, and hoawa saplings in their winged wakes. Forest builders, but also destroyers, who poked holes in branches, pulled off bark, noisy scrapers, scrappers. But now, dry slopes, Mauna Loa and Hualalai, quiet, without wild crows, extinct, except for captive breeding birds, only a minor murder for drawers. Habitat loss, predation by rats and cats, and disease defeated. Alala, chattering crows of Hawaii, might you bring yourself home? There are several breeding programs on Hawaii, and they release the crows every now and then, but so far they haven't really managed to sustain themselves in the wild. And my other one is another cheery environmental topic. The loneliness of bees. Yellow-faced bees on Oahu, Holland buzz, Ilima, Akoko, Naio. Small specks fly from Nopaka to Ohia. Black-bodied, sometimes amber-striped. Females, flinty-faced. Males sport mellow yellow smiles. Longtime residents of the islands, present when Maui's monstrous haleakala flexed hot, golden glowed like the sun. Bees spread, softly humming green slopes, 63 different types, true kamaina, endemic to Hawaii. Forlorn, foraging Hylaeus lead lonely lives. No communal hive home, no hairy honeybee hind legs. Instead, pollen purses held deep inside, currencies for their young, banked in beached coral crevices, deadwood debris, tempting thieves. Cradle robbers invited to the islands were stealthy hosts on boats, non-native ants, wasps, bees, harass yellow-faced larvae. Native species shrink, numbers and range, challenged by local plant destruction, habitat loss, and climate change. Oahu, yellow-faced bees buzz toward catastrophe. I was pleased to see when I was last on Oahu last January, March, that there's areas where there's a bee sanctuary and there's some attention paid to the loss of bees. Thank you.
Susan, all the Hawaiian words are so beautiful in these poems. Have you lived in Hawaii? Have you spent?
Yes, I lived in Hawaii for about 12 years. I taught at UH Manoa, and I did other things there too. Yeah.
Beautiful. So powerful. The musicality of these observations, the richness, the care, the connection. And I felt that ending of the loneliness of bees was such a jolt. You really had a powerful punch there at the end of that poem. You know, so many poems, they almost comfort us with their wake up call. What is where we end up asking, what is wrong with us? Why are we doing these things? What is wrong with industry, with so many things in the world? I think one of the jobs of poetry has always been to make us more alert, pay better attention, people. And so I'm curious with you, have you always been writing about the natural world this way, or is this something you grew into after your travels and everything else?
I am delighted to be retired. So I'd now be able to spend some time writing poetry. And I think it's like Margaret Atwood says, we don't solve the problems, but we're very good at pointing out the problems. And hopefully that results in others creating some solutions. I also just wanted to thank Kate Sontag, who's here on this call, because I actually wrote the bee poem in a class that Kate organized.
Oh, how very special. That is really, really lovely. Well, thank you for being with us tonight. And I keep saying tonight, I'm sorry, it's night where I am, but today.
Oh, it's night where I am.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, thank you so much for your voice, your care, and congratulations on more writing. And I feel we'll have some moments for questions in a minute, but our last reader is Michelle Young. Thank you so much, Michelle, for coming on. I loved what you said in your bio, that you were grateful for your third grade teacher, Mr. Edwards, who introduced you to poetry, which you have loved ever since, for your husband, who shares this love and asked you out with a poem, very sweet, and also for Billy Collins, who rekindled a desire to write for pleasure again. Thank you, Michelle, and you are on Kauai, right?
Yes.
Welcome.
Okay, just go for it. Okay. All right, so it's called Grieving While Gazing at Gaza. When I visit my sister post-surgery at Queens, I'm almost shocked by the shine of unshattered glass and the gleam of floors freshly waxed. The past 6 months, I've witnessed an unnatural disaster via Instagram feed. Hospitals bombed and besieged. Doctors abducted, stripped, and teased. Kids' legs cut with no anesthetic. Since the painkillers left are Tylenol and death. But Queens Medical Center stands tall and pristine. All visitors come and leave as they please. No snipers wait outside the entrance. Staff return home at the end of their shift, assured they'll be paid without begging for crowdsourced benevolence. I step off the lift and look for the room where she rests. The cancer began with the surprise of blood past menopause, long after she'd thrown her last tampon away. How long does stage 4 last? No one knows, so we haven't bothered to ask. Invading cells have spread from uterus to anus. An invisible mass blocks passage for food undigested, forcing this permanent diversion, colostomy. Time now to heal from the trauma of stomach sliced and stitched. A nurse lifts her gown to assess the new stoma. The pink stump peeks through her abdomen, a small prairie dog made of large intestine. They say the tightly woven cloth that covers such wounds was likely invented in Gaza. There's so much history I will never know. Below the new poop pouch or ostomy bag lie her once muscled legs, now swollen, longing to finish 6 more races. After 26 miles in 44 states, she's barely walking, but still determined to run. I ache for her dream thus deferred, though at least it's not severed by manslaughter christened self-defense. I'm no activist, but after this, I'll march in my first protest. Because in Palestine, occupying soldiers shoot first, then ask no further questions. Your Honor, my God, scorched earth seems their only real policy. Their lust for revenge, a strange sort of cancer. In Rafah, the last unsafe safe place, mothers nurse babies at sad milkless breasts, while fathers scroll names of young children with red fingers on white body bags. From these islands, we're screaming, how long will this genocide last? No cause can absorb all the bleeding in Gaza.
Michelle, I'm staggered by your poem and offer my deepest personal gratitude for this poem and my care in honor of your sister and your own great heart. Uh, I was so riveted by this counterpoint you create here between the hospital, Queens Hospital. What an amazing hospital that is. I can speak from personal experience, having had surgery there myself on Christmas Eve once, unexpected. um, Riveting us to that cleansed care place with what has happened in the lives of so many innocents. And, you know, how many traumas happen to so many innocents around our world, so many things which seem completely unjust, unfair. And how do we even talk about these things, these catastrophes? You've managed to talk about more than one of them in this profound poem. And the fact that you are placed, your poem is placed last in our issue of Bamboo Ridge seems very appropriate, because really I feel as if it embodies the whole spirit of care and love and hope and horror, which transmits through so much of genuine writing. Michelle, thank you for what you do. It really matters. I think your poem really, really matters, and your beautiful heart, uh, and also your commitment to the protest. You and I may have marched in the same protest together. In January of 23, we marched in the 4,000 person protest in Honolulu, and spent an entire day in the park there listening to the speakers. I'm not sure if that's where you were, but every time we write, I feel as if we are raising a flag for justice and truth. And I think this is something we need to say about Bamboo Ridge in its history. Bamboo Ridge has had a history of embodying truth of so many lives, so many voices, so many stories we don't hear enough about. So are there, and we thank you, Bamboo Ridge, for doing that. Misty, please convey to everyone who works with Bamboo Ridge our enduring gratitude for this commitment. Um, I know I asked some of you questions and some of you not, because I was too overwhelmed and babbled too much myself, but maybe we should see if any of you have more things you want to say, or if we have some questions from our circle gathered here today.
Yeah, definitely. If any attendees want to jump on camera or microphone, just raise your hand or put something in the chat and I'll turn you on here. But feel free, authors, to talk amongst yourselves about these readings, or if Cathy wants to say something as well. Also, writers, put your websites and your socials, anything that you want to share with our audience today, go ahead and put it in the chat. So they know where to find you guys. Okay. Yeah, so anybody in the audience, you can also, if you want, put your questions or comments in the chat, and I'll be sure to read them out to the writers. Yeah, guys, you so touching, and I did cry a little bit there with Michelle. Yeah, this was amazing, amazing reading. Thank you so much.
I fear sometimes people miss the words of love, which are sent their way through the chat. And I hope you all know that a lot of words of love have been sent your ways. And Michelle, I hope you can see that chat from where you are, because there's so much gratitude there for the intensity and beauty and power of your poem. I don't want you all to think that I never let Cathy talk. I mean, that's even worse. I mean, to have a sidekick who totally dominates, that's horrible. But Cathy, we're honoring your request to be more of an observer tonight. So I want the other people to know that.
No, I really wanted Naomi to run this, and she's just done such a beautiful job with, her feedback and just her ability to just respond so heartfeltly to upon hearing something read. But also, I'm not feeling very well, so that's why I'm not talking too much, because I will trigger a horrible cascade of coughing. So, but it was just so terrific, everyone. Thank you so much, Michelle. Thank you. It looks like you probably ran in your car after you taught your class, so you're from your car. Dawn, thank you so much again for reading that beautiful poem. Susan, I always learn so much from your kinds of poems, that I learn. I like poems where I learn. And the two meditative poems by Hannah, oh, very hard to write. Those poems to me are really, really hard to write. I mean, for me, that kind of meditative, really, really, just that pinpointing of awareness and stuff. It's very hard to write for me. I loved it. And thank you, Thomas, making me laugh every time I just think about the title of your poem makes me laugh, your story. And thank you, Nathan. Thank you for when you describe where you live, it's like the rainforest of the Big Island, where I often am. And it is like pulling a lot of things that look so beautiful, but you realize they don't belong there.
Go ahead, Naomi.
No, Cathy, that's so lovely what you said. And when I agree with everything you've said, of course. But Susan and Nathaniel, the poems you wrote are poems that for me are very difficult to write, and I respect them so much, where you're really weaving in these details about plants and animals and our entire world of creatures and beings, and you both did that so graciously. I felt this issue of Bamboo Ridge, as all issues of Bamboo Ridge do, has so much diversity in it, and that's something I've loved about it for the many decades now of reading this journal, that you could be laughing one page, crying one page, feeling, completely invited into another world, another culture. And this is a journal that has just given us such an important sense of belonging to so many places and things.
And
So
I really want to just do a shout out to our wonderful cover artist, Mark Aquino Michaels. He lives in New York City, but he was born and raised here in Hawaii, and now he's an artist in New York City. And he is just so incredibly talented. And I really appreciate how he let us use his work. So thank you, Mark.
I certainly do too. And Dawn, you are such a gracious person. I love seeing how you're inviting people to do things. She has invited you, Cathy, and myself to each offer one poem. And also she has invited Jason to comment on why he left Hawaii. But is it a sad story? Because where's Jason? You want to tell us, Jason?
Yeah, I've just sent him
Yeah.
a little invite if he wants to pop on.
Okay.
Can you unmute it now?
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear
Hello,
you,
Jason, we can hear you.
Jason.
Yeah, it's kind of a sad story, but it's for
For mental.
yeah, like for mental health reasons. My wife and I have two young sons, two Omid and Azad, 2 and 3 years old, and Azad was born 27 days before October 7th. And after coming back from Istanbul with the flotilla, when we weren't actually allowed to set sail, I spent a month with Anne in Turkey preparing and thought we were going to bring 6,000 tons of aid. And when we weren't, it was just rough being a father, having two little babies and not being able to, feeling like so many other people, not being able to do anything. So long story short,
Leaving the
as much as Hawaii is not the US, it's very much, sadly, still very occupied by the US. So it's so that's why we're in Uruguay now. And it's and still not a day, not a moment goes by. But yeah, but just anyhow, I really appreciate everyone reading and sharing. And thank you so much, Dawn and Michelle and everyone else. And Thomas, that was the yeah, like that I think was really very beautiful, heartwarming. But
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jason.
Thank you
yeah,
so much.
Thank you for sharing your story with us. And
Yes, thank you.
it's a very great honor to have you on here, and we really appreciate it. So, Cathy, would you like to read a poem? Dawn invited you to read a poem.
And you too, both of you.
Okay, you have one, Naomi?
I have
Okay.
a new one right here in front of me. You want me to read it and then we close with your voice?
Sure. Okay, Naomi, you read yours and I will.
Okay. I just wrote this last week and sent it out to a place in a journal in the UK that was asking me for a new poem. And the journal is called Basket. I love that title. So if any of you want to send poems to Basket, tell them I sent you. And this kind person there accepted this one of the poems I sent him. So I've never read it before. It's called Comforts. And thank you for the comforts your poems have and stories have given to us tonight. Comforts. She said our boy was now a butterfly. I was trying to stop my mind. Everything terrified. A world without him in it. Another said, however bad you feel today, a year from now, you will feel twice as bad. If only everything. For years, I tried to help my mother. then she was dead too. What mattered? You have to do it. Maybe a heron, maybe a single white pigeon in a whole gray flock. The woman who wrote about entering her own kitchen at dusk for therapy made sense. Glint of pot on burner, empty mouth, patient. Single spoon lined by bowl.
Thank you.
This one,
Beautiful.
I wrote this one a couple of years ago. It's called Like a Lover. Insisting she's old, a gray, mostly white-haired grandmother. I want to take her into my arms and twirl together like we did around the living room, doing our island version of the bossa nova, shaking sand in a can, our homemade percussion as if we were mixing cocktails. While Sergio Mendes and Brazil 66 shook the stereo. My sexy mini-skirted big sister at 17, climbing the ladder of high notes like she did the mango tree, while off-key but earnest, I hovered at mid-range in awe of her, not understanding how our mother could be so unmoved by Lonnie Hall's silky rendition, Like a Lover, rising like cigarette smoke to the skylight, as if her two daughters even knew what a lover was or could be. Scowling as we cha-cha-cha'd our way into the kitchen, pulling off her apron, coaxing our mother, younger then than we are now, to sway those hips and shuffle toward us away from the stove.
Once again, you two talk to each other. Both of you end up in the kitchen.
My person is comforted, your people are escaping, and this is why we've been friends for 30 some years.
That's
Well,
wonderful.
that's beautiful to end with love and dancing. And I send out my love to all of you, and may you have much joy and power in your writing and find so many friends. And thank you, Cathy, for inviting me to be co-editor with you. And thank you so much, Misty, for everything you've done for all of us and to everyone else at Bamboo Ridge. Biggest love.
Of course, I just want to share one last thing from the editor's wonderful introduction. They talk about some of the words that are being targeted, you know, in our grants and on our websites and things like that, and how a lot of these words are, you know, what embody and the core essential values of what Bamboo Ridge was founded on and what Bamboo Ridge is. So I just wanted to share this graphic again really quick here. Because this is some of the words, just a fraction. And so I know that we've used some of these words today and in the work that you guys are writing, and there's some of these words. And so all I can say is keep writing these words, put them everywhere. Yeah. So
yeah. And as a second grader told me this year, we are doubling down on diversity.
yep, diversity.
Yes. You all are beautiful people. Thank you so much for your voices.